Are you scared yet? Do you just love it? Do you just not love Halloween and all the good scary stuff that comes along? Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome. And we're a little on the dark side tonight because this is going to start our Halloween shows for the next 3 weeks. So here we are, my darlings. How are you? Welcome, welcome. I'm Zelda Kelly. For all of you who don't know me yet, I'm Zelda Kelly. I'm the host of Seeing Crime. And tonight we're going to be talking about a few little crime updates. And then I got a spooky story, a real spooky one. So I'm going to give you the trigger warning now. And I will before I start the spooky, because my friends, it is, oh man, it is bad. And I mean bad, like as in bad, spooky. So before we get started, hello, hello. Thank you all for being here. Please say hello to our dear sweet friend, Maria, in the chat. She's with True Oracle. And here we are. So very good. So for all of you who are in the southern states, Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, our hearts and minds go out to you and our prayers always, and we're with you. You hang in there. We're America strong, right? Yes. Okay. I'm so glad to see you all tonight. We've got a big show. And I just want to let you know that when 9 o'clock comes around, you just stay right here. Just stay right here because I'm going to redirect you right over to Turtle Boy's Live. That's right, because Turtle Boy is going live right after this show, and we're going to just direct you all over. And if you'll do me a favor when that happens and just say, Zelda sent us, we're coming over from Zelda, I would appreciate it, and he would too. So here we are. I want to talk to you first about, I know you all know John Gotti, right? The big mob boss from New York, John Gotti. Well, some interesting things happened. I don't know about you, but back in the day, I used to watch a show that was called Growing Up Gotti. And it was John Gotti's daughter. I think her name was Victoria. And then Victoria had 3 sons. Well, just recently, one of the Gotti grandkids, one of Victoria's sons, has pled guilty to stealing funds from the government. How did he do that? Well, you remember all those PPP loans that were from when we were going through that little thing a couple or 3 or 4 years ago, and the government was offering PPPs and all this other stuff. Well, this Gotti Jr. applied, and he got, I think, $2 or $3 million out of it and spent it on his own. Now, he technically is a first-time offender, and he has pled guilty. We're going to kind of follow this through. I want to follow it because, it's too bad, because a lot of them, his cousins are as well, are following granddad's footsteps, and that is not a good thing. So we're going to keep watch on that, and pardon me, you can hear my voice a little bit. I'm still on the scratchy side. Pardon me. And I have to take a drink every now and then. Hold on. Pollen, my loves. Pollen. Yes. Our dear friend Standing Stone says the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Very sad, and that is very true. Well, Standing Stone says he never watched it. Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't think you really missed much. It was just this, you know, it didn't last long. It was kind of like a little Kardashian type thing. Okay. Anyway, there we go. It's cross pollination from Zelda. That's right. Yeah. Auntie B says apparently he forgot what happened to his grandfather. Well, you would think that these people would learn, don't you think? Don't you think? I watch history, ancient aliens, Bigfoot, UFO stuff, etc. I got to tell you something. Y'all are going to love this. I think personally, I had the coolest grandpa in the history of the world. My middle name is his name. So I just want you to know that. Anything that I wanted to do, he was there. My grandma and grandpa used to go hunting out west in Wyoming and everything else. Now I'm young, I mean, like I'm 8, 9 years old. And all I did was watch Westerns. That's all I did. That's all I wanted to do. Bonanza was my favorite. And y'all saw a picture of my grandpa. Here, I'll show you I'll show you grandpa. Y'all remember him. There you go. That's my grandpa. Well, I always thought he looked like Lauren Green from Bonanza. And he was always the horseman. He was always the farmer. He was always that. And I loved it. And grandpa was so good. Well, they were going out one year and they would always ask my sister and I what we wanted. Well, my sister named whatever it is that she named. And I said, Grandpa, I want a letter from an Indian. Now, I want you to know this. My grandpa, he was very dapper. My grandpa came back with a letter from a young Indian gentleman. Now we say native. And my grandpa was part Cherokee, part Irish, mix of whatever. Doesn't matter. But I cherished that letter for years. And then I talked with another one. He arranged another one out of Cherokee, North Carolina. I still wish I was in contact with him, but I met him when I was 18 and we had pictures together and I don't know where that went. But anyway, Grandpa and Bigfoot, are y'all ready? When that Bigfoot mountain, hello, and the movie came out, and I can't remember what that guy's name was that found it. Anyway, that famous footage, they had this big movie come out in the 70s. Well, my grandpa was the first one. We loaded up the car and zippity-doo-dah down to the theater. I was just enthralled by this whole thing. Patterson, thank you very much. Patterson was his name. That's all I talked about was Bigfoot, 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 Bigfoot. So once again, my grandpa, bless him, wrote to, I think it was Roger Patterson, wrote to Roger Patterson, Roger, and told him that his granddaughter was the little woo-woo girl who loved all this stuff. And oh my gosh, Teresa, here we go. I love this. The movie was filmed at my church and school. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, Grandpa was the coolest. What does Grandpa do? He writes to Roger Patterson and says, my granddaughter, blah, blah, blah. What happens next? I get a letter in the mail and a big box and a big package. And it was a letter that made me an honorary member of the North American Wildlife Research Association, which is now disbanded and no longer around since Mr. Patterson passed away. But in that box were treasures. I had a a color portrait that was like a 8 by 10 of that Bigfoot. And I had all of this stuff. But the coolest thing, I had a plaster cast of that footprint. And Roger Patterson sent that. Now, y'all can kind of guess how old I am. And I used that as one of my science fair projects. Beyond that, I kept it a few years and then I got married and things kind of disappear. And that was it. But times and things that I will always cherish. And I always think every time I see Bigfoot, and Lily Rose, my darling, but we're in the same class. We always like that stuff, don't we? I'll tell you what, there were never in my life that I think better times than the 70s and 80s growing up. I think that was the best time in the whole world. So there we go. So I love Bigfoot. I love all that stuff. Now I want to tell you something. Most of you don't know this, but one of the areas really affected by Hurricane Helene is Newport, Tennessee. Now, Newport, Tennessee has a little bit of questionable ancestry, if you know what I mean. But they are the number 2 in the Americas for UFO sightings. And there was one particular area that you could go and kind of park among the trees. And wait, I have to put this up here. Hiya, my darling. You still have beautiful, oh yeah, I'll always have them. Of farms and everything else. I am writing a book, so one of these days. So, you can park your car. Now, I think that area was kind of really affected and kind of really wiped out. But you could park your car and you can watch and see UFOs. Woo, baby. And I had the pleasure one night of going up there. Now, I was by myself, and I want you to know this. Nothing really scares me. I'm kind of fearless. Now, there are some things that startle me. I will tell you that, because when I'm cooking in the kitchen and my son is wearing a black t-shirt and black sweatpants and he rounds the corner very stealthily and quietly, I will jump. And I'm like, oh, now startled. But to fear, ooh. So I see y'all putting your ages in the chat. I was born March 15th, 1960, and I'm proud of it. And I'll just it's just right out there. Who cares? At this point, I mean, really. So that scares me, and I'm fearless. So there we are. So there's your UFOs. Now, I would go and I would sit in this place by myself, not thinking. I mean, and I wasn't scared of UFOs, but I should have been scared of the people around. I am a Pisces, Miss Indie Girl. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I am a Pisces, born on the Ides of March. And I was born between a lunar and a solar eclipse and during a Mercury retrograde. How do you like that? Now it explains it. There we are. Indie Girl is too. So there we are, my darlings. So we have UFOs and Bigfoots, and we've got ghosts. And tonight, later on in the show, we're going to have a few demons to talk about. So trigger warning. So when I'm talking about Amityville and we talk about all that, trigger warning. But I'm going to show you something else that scares me. I don't know if y'all can handle this. So maybe I need to say a trigger warning about this too. Are you ready? Are you all ready? If you're ready and you want to see this, please put a 1 in the chat. Please put, so I know that everybody is just ready to see what scares me and I'm fearless. Let me know. Put a 1 in the chat, my darlings, so we can get going here. 1, here we go. Because I'm going to show you what scares me. There we go. 1 in the chat. All right, so here we are, my darlings. Are you ready? Here we are. This is what scares me. Look at that. Look, we all know who this is. Look at that. That's testimony on the stand. I believe it was day 12 of the Karen Reed trial. Now, I want to point a few things out here. Can y'all see my pointer? You might be able to. The eyes bulging, no, I don't think you can. The eyes bulging, the jaw. Now, take a look at her jaw. Now, when I say that I think this person has been involved in some things, in my opinion now, in my opinion, that's right, Indy. In my opinion, because I want to point some things out to you. So in my opinion, look at the jaw displacement of how the jaw goes to the side and how her face shape just is different. And the eyes bulging and the neck kind of parsing. This is it. This is it. Ready? Here's the second one. Now you see she looks different in that one, don't you? She's completely different in that. Glitching to cyborg. Here we go. Lily Rose says there's a channel called Jen McCabe's Tooth. Oh my gosh, I am just... Oh, that's just funny. Oh my goodness. So for those of you who are saying that she looks possessed and she looks like... Now, look at this. Same person. There we are. Look at this. You see the difference? The eyes now are back in her head. Mouth is still... I don't think I've seen Jen McCabe without her mouth open. But you see that? You see that? Yeah. She does look, in my opinion, like she's got something there. I think she was a mean girl in high school. To me, I like to call her the fixer. And that's what I call her. Mouth open, spewing lies is what Lily Rose says. And absolutely, you are right, my darling. That type of thing, you know, I can take the paranormal world, I can take the world of the unknown, I can explore scary stuff, and it doesn't really, now it sometimes gets to me. I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't. And I think it's healthy if you know that it is. But I want you to know that right there, she makes me pause. My Elizabeth has a very good point. If you can cover a murder frame someone and not think twice, she is possessed. In our opinions, obviously. But I feel so. Elizabeth, thank you for that. I do too. And my dear friend Linda here says her vibration is evil eyes, and eyes are the windows to the soul. Yes, and that is biblical as well. And yes, definitely, she looks like. I gotta tell you something. I wonder about the life with Matt McCabe. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about the life of Matt McCabe? Every time I've ever seen them together, she's plowing through and down the street, and there's little Maddie walking behind her. It wouldn't do me to go to Canton, Mass right now, because you know why? I would probably say something I shouldn't, and I would be letting them all have it. Now, that's not a good thing. But what they've done to Turtle Boy and to Karen Reed, unconscionable. Justice is coming. Remember the song, sooner or later, feds are gonna get you. Can't sing tonight because of my throat, but you know the tune. So Auntie BB says she's definitely a narcissist and a manipulator, to say the least. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Standing stones. She wanted to jump out of that witness chair and do a flying elbow to AJ. Oh, yeah. Could you see it now? Woofy. AJ probably would have given her a flying elbow back. Haya says, the energy in Canton is so negative. That is so sad, because that whole area is so rich with history. And I know many of you have seen that video that I did about that area, Stoughton and the Salem witch trials and Michael Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor. You can't make this stuff up. It's all related. Thank you, Lily Rose. That's very sweet of you to say that. Standing Stone says, I always think of the phone call from Coco Albert to Proctor saying he will get you a nice gift when this is all over, like sleeping butts off the barroom floor. That's right. I know some butts that are going to be flying off the barroom floor, and they're going to be right behind bars. That's right. And Auntie BB says, remember when Matt said something about his days are good if they're not out drinking? I don't have it correctly, but it doesn't have fun unless they are with people. Well, can you imagine how bloody, like, miserable this guy is? I mean, think. Hello? He's in bed with the devil. The Four of Clubs. Every time I see that card, the Four of Clubs, I think of her in bed with the devil. Look at this. I keep hitting this. It wouldn't be a stream or anything without me hitting a camera or microphone or whatever. So, yeah. Lily Rose says, we have to believe the feds are coming for all of them, and soon. I want you to know something, my dear darlings. Those people are finished. They're finished. And they know it. They're walking around town as if they are just... Now, some sweet person left me a comment about she and her husband saw Matt and Jen at a soccer game, and how her husband talked to Matt. It was just pleasantries, and how they were there cheering them on. And they have to do that. They have to keep up appearances. They're there cheering on their kids, daughters, whatever. But the reality is this. It would be a constant behind my back of my mind, when are they coming? Because I will guarantee you, from what I know about pardon me, this type of thing, reading over the years, they come stealthily in the night. They don't give you any warning. So if she's walking around the house in her nightgown and Maddie is walking around the house in his tutu, they're going to take him in no matter what. And in fact, many times they don't even allow you to get your shoes on. If it's cold outside, they won't allow you to get a coat. The punishment starts now, and that's how it works. Yes, you are innocent and presumed innocent until proven guilty. But believe me, they are going to give you the buzz. And I don't mean a drinking buzz. I mean, they're going to light you up. And that's what's going to happen to them. And can you just see Jennifer's mouth going? If they came in and they put the silver bracelets on her, could you just not see it? Crack, 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 crack. Karen says, hey, Zelda, listening while I'm making supper in sunny southern Alberta, Canada. Well, welcome to you. And I wish we were all there to have dinner too. I don't know what y'all are having, but after this show tonight, I'm making homemade Alfredo. Now, when I make Alfredo, it's not like the stuff in the jar. I grate the Parmesan cheese, I use butter, and that's it. A little bit of the cooking liquid from the pasta makes it thick. You don't put in milk or half and half. No. But I do eat the other stuff. But that's what I do. That's how I make it. So Lily Rose says the Four of Clubs come a lot in your reading, Zelda, the Devil's Bed. That's right. When you're in the, and I know a lot of you see, and you start to, and I got to tell you this, I'm so proud of you all. I love the fact that you're recognizing what the cards are now. I love it. I love it. Because now it's like we look forward to all of that. I'm loving it. So there we go. So Elizabeth says, good Lord, that will be a glorious day when she's in bracelets. Oh, honey. Listen, she has to realize that she needs to keep that kick hole shut. But she didn't. And I want to point out something else. But before I do, I'm going to point out Linda made a pot of meatballs, and Linda will be over. I love meatballs. And if I can quit hitting this, does that bother you as much as it bothers me? Because, wow, it does. Get a grip, Zelda. We'll be over, Linda. Thank you very much. Hope you made a lot because we're coming. So let me see. Lily Rose used to make that too. Now she's lactose intolerant. Oh, my darling. That's hard. I'm kind of like that. That's hard. So, yeah. And Standing Zone says, how about a daisy chain of bracelets? How about it? High five, everybody. High five. And just so you know, I don't know if he's watching tonight, but many times our friend Microdots watches us. So do me a favor. I want you to all say in the chat, hi, Richie, hi, Microdots, hi, because he is outstanding. I call him my top dot. He is just, I love his work. He's getting ready to come out with another one that is called Fatal Error. He had that out before. He's tweaking it. And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just can't wait. Oh, I love his stuff. So this last one that he put out, my friends, I don't think I took a breath during the whole thing. It just is mesmerizing. Oh my goodness, it's wonderful. So hi there, my darling Microdots. Hi there. Okay. So White Blue Phoenix, I made beef stacks and fish. That sounds good. You know, I'm to the point where I'm almost tired of eating anymore. Anybody else feel like that? Anybody? Hi, Richie. Kathy says, and Linda says, we love you, Richie. We do love you. We love what you do. But does anybody just get tired? I'm tired of eating. Really. I live in an area where right now, just I have a short ways to go yet. That there ain't that much around to eat except fast foods. But sometimes you just got to run out and blaze and go out because you're so busy. Yesterday was a day like that for me. And to me, it just all tastes the same and it's expensive and I don't like it and all those things. Yuck. So, and there's my Irish. I get where I'm too lazy to. It's no, honey, listen, you're not too lazy. I'll tell you why, because I feel like I am too. I mean, I sit here and I do the psychic line, I do the chots, I do chots. Hello. Hello, darling, I do chots. I do the chats and I do the psychic line and I do all that stuff. And by the time it's like, oh, flip. I have to get up and I have to cook and I have to get up and basically it's all about convenience. And I thought about Hello Fresh and Hello Unfresh and whatever they are. But you still have to get up and you still have to do it. But we do it because that's what we're all about. We do it. Yes, I'm tired of eating. And so is Roxy. She says she is. She's tired of eating. Hi, Roxy. Nice to see you. So, a couple of things here. So, we've talked about Karen Reed a little bit, but I know you've all heard about, wait a minute. I want to put Auntie BB's message up here. Indie Girl, I have some sympathy for her because, in my opinion, I think she's a DV victim. If you listen to Deed, this isn't a surprise. So, yes, she should, but fear has crippled her, not giving her a pass. I'm sorry, I don't know really who you're talking about, but that's okay. I value your comment, so thank you. I know you've all heard and parsed through the Betterow letters. I love to call them that. The Betterow letters. I'm telling you, the Mark Betterow, Daddy Betterow, he is just irreplaceable, that man. Between him and Melanie Little, I love her too, we really get the down low on these papers. Well, I'm not going to put those up and go over them because y'all have been over them before, but there's something that caught my eye. And I mentioned it in this last video that I made about getting indicted. And that was how Jennifer McCabe, I wish I could say it like Nurse Kim. I won't even try. But it's how Jennifer McCabe sticks her little nosy in. And these girls, this Kate Pater and Miss Gattani, were like, oh, did Jennifer McCabe see? Oh, what did she say? Oh my heck. Talk about fangirls. Please tell me that they're just not wearing their hair like them too. Come on. So, the fact that Jennifer's got her nose in anything, how much do you want to bet? There's more coming out. I know there is. How much do you want to bet that Jennifer McCabe has attorney Ken Mello's telephone number and she's calling and feeding him as well? That little nucleus is getting smaller and smaller. And as far as I'm concerned, Ken Mello needs to stand up and atone for this. He needs to stand up and say, this is what happened, and I take responsibility, and it got out of hand, and now I have to rectify this. Will he do it? No. And I'll tell you why. Why is all this? Why is all this happening? I'll tell you why. Because they're all afraid of federal prison. And in their minds, in their little pea brains, I better be careful. If there's any Germans in the chat, I'm sorry. Willkommen, was ist los? Because you don't do that in Germany, what I just did. So anyway, the fact that they want to stay out of federal prison, they just keep digging their little gravies deeper and deeper. They think they're going to, because see, they've already swapped out the subject and the suspect. So they just keep thinking that they're just going to keep covering up and digging deeper and using the law as their shield and protection. And that is against the law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just going to say that. But that stinks to high heaven. And I think I've heard something about a law called malicious prosecution. Could that possibly be? And let me see what my dear Irish says here. Standing stones, thanks, sweetie. I got that when y'all are talking. Well, for some, let's say cops don't do well in prison. Oh, can you imagine what's going to happen with Matt Farwell and his brother when that happens to him? Just listen, when things get quiet, you know things are happening. When the juice is jumping, and don't think that the feds aren't listening to all of us and everything. And hello, if you're out there, hello, thank you. And please tell your boss, Josh Levy, if I can get his name right, Josh Levy, that we're very proud of him, and that's what we want. We want them. Thank you very much. Come get Morrissey. Come get them all. Justice must be done before the end of the year. But it's up to you, my dear friends. But lawyers, cops, they don't do well. And especially if you put somebody away, imagine, and judges, that's right. But I don't know if she has judicial immunity or not. But they all could get disbarred, and then it may be a free for all. This whole thing stinks to high heaven. And you know what I think? How many good people are in prison that was in the same situation as Karen Reed and Turtle Boy, but could not afford representation? I'm sorry. I'm just going to say this. I know public defenders and I know criminal defense attorneys, and I know a lot of these guys. And you do not get the same representation when you get a public defender. I'm sorry. Their job is numbers, and they're going to do what they can to just plea you out because they don't have the money and they don't have the ability for a defense. Can you imagine if Karen Reed had a public defender? She would be behind bars and nothing that anybody could have done about it. Thank God her family was in the position and she was in the position. Now, I just saw, I know it's been sold for a little while, but I just saw that she sold her house. And I'm happy for her because that just gives her a little bit of juice. But think about it. They take her car. I still question, did they even have a warrant to go get that car? What about Trooper Michael Proctor? Did he have a warrant to pick up her car, or did he just go over there and say, I want your car? I'm going to hook it up to the back of the trailer and we're going to go do what we want to do with it. And then I'm going to lie about how much time it took and when I picked it up and when it was there and blah, 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 right? Karen was right when she went into the O'Keefe house and came out and said, I need to lawyer up. That's the Pisces in her, because she was getting the daggers from Mama O'Keefe. And she was going, oh, crap. I would have been too. I would have walked out. First of all, she was a big person to walk over there. And they didn't treat her right. What in the world, people? Thank you. Anyway. Lily says, Higgins has been so quiet. I don't know if they already got him or not. I don't think so, Lily. I don't think so. Because he's got a girlfriend who is a former wife of a former cop. What do these people do? Pass everybody around. What is this? All right. What blows my mind, that Canton police never went in that house to look around, nor does the CW care. That blows the socks off of this. You're going to tell me that there is a crime that is outside of your home and involves your home? Pardon me, but I question, is this something that maybe Karen or even Paul O'Keefe sued over? It happened on their property. You know as well as I do, if you are involved in any little something or something, you're just all gathered up in a lawsuit. It doesn't matter what, and you're all sued. What about the McAlberts? What about 34 Fairview Road? Their homeowner's insurance would have taken care of it, but now they moved. What happens with that? There's a new person there. So is that place, that's still, as far as I'm concerned, it's still open as a crime? When did they close the crime scene? Did they ever officially do that? Where is that? Now, you know what they did to Karen's car. They went and they just pilfered through it. They totaled it. So most likely, I don't know, but this is what happens in many cases. And someone asked me, Karen's car, her Lexus SUV, was most likely, don't know for fact, but most likely totaled by her insurance company, and they paid it out. Because one of the big questions is, those vehicles aren't cheap. They're right around $100,000, $85,000 to $100,000. So what do? They just let the cops come in and pilfer through it and tear it up and do all those things, and then you still have to pay for it? In these cases, usually not. They'll total them. And her ex, and the horrible thing is, that lady has not driven. She hasn't driven in over 2 years. Well, 2 years almost. Almost 3 years. Hasn't driven because of these, she's not supposed to. White Blue Phoenix says, I feel that Allie McCabe is going to be the one to come clean so she doesn't go to jail. I'm going to tell you, my darlings, I don't know. She's family. I think it may be someone else, like Sarah Levinson or Julie Nagel, someone who doesn't have that close family tie. My loves, I want you to know something. What happened was seen by someone, and that someone knows, and the feds know who the someone is. It's just not going to be publicized. You can't tell me that these things have not been seen. There's just too much going on there. Auntie BB says they deliberately destroyed the info details versus using a company that can pull the tracking info without destroying it. But CW can't have that. That's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Sad as it is, absolutely correct. I want you to know this. Before we continue and we go into the Amityville story, if you're new here, please subscribe, because we've got a giveaway for 7,000 subscribers. We're getting there. We're getting there. The numbers are climbing. That's the important thing. 7,000 subscribers. I'm going to be giving away 2 Kipper decks. Where are they? Let me see if I've got them. See, this is me, always unprepared, but I'm here. No, I'm not unprepared. Here they are. 2 Kipper decks. Let me see if I can get the glare off of them. Just like this. They are brand new, just like the ones I have. And then I'm giving away a free reading with me. You ask 2 questions, and if any of you have had a reading with me so far, we get right in the down and the dirty of the readings. I'll tell you the truth. If I see it, I'll tell you the truth. Why? Now, also, if you want to come over and take a little look-see at my bio, and you can see me and all the reviews, and they're true reviews. We don't pad them. I've read probably close, I figured it out one time, I think it was last year. I've figured out probably I've had over 100,000 readings in my career so far, and that was last year. TrueOracle.com, you can come on over there and you can see me. I'm extension 11. Take a look at my bio, take a look around. You can get your horoscope on there. You can even order a video reading with me if you like. So please come on over there. Say hello to me. I know you're going to. You can do it just in the air. I'll know it. And then all that other good stuff. All right. So there we go. So do me a favor, click the notification bell, say hello. And now the other thing too is join me on Patreon. We're going to be diving deep into what's going to be happening. I'm not going to say it because, you know, we get looked after in, and Petey just walked through. We're going to be looking at what's going to happen November 5th, deep down and dirty this week starting on. And we're going to be looking at some of these cases where I can't talk about things that have happened, as in the Menendez brothers. Can't talk about that on here. I won't because it's too much. Can't do that. And there's Petey again. He's walking through. And so anyway, please, thank you, please and thank you. And last but not least, do me a favor for all of you that are members, go over to my community posts. There's a place for you to put down what name you want me to shout out in my videos. I'm going to give it a couple more days yet for all of you to see it. And then because I want to shout that out. So there we go. So there you are. So Standing Stone, Zelda, you have 40 years of this and you are strong with readings. Thank you very much. I want you to know that this March 15th is my 50th anniversary of reading cards. 50 years. How could that be? I'm only 36. Okay, so there we are. I don't think that I would overwhelm you, Standing Stones. And Karen says, FYI, beef stroganoff for supper tonight. Well, listen, It's between Linda. I think we'll have a little potluck. We're going to go to Linda's place first for meatballs, and then we're going to Karen's for beef stroganoff. What time are we serving? There we go. So there we are, my darlings. Thank you, thank you. And please subscribe, do all those things, and hit the notification bell. And you know what? It is time. It is time. Here's a trigger warning, my darlings. And first, drinky poo. Standing stones. I use the big fat noodles in my Alfredo. Hello. And my Alfredo, I use the big fat noodles because, well, it just holds on to everything a lot better, doesn't it? Yes. Karen says, oh, Irish says, I'm doing jambalaya tomorrow for football. Oh, well, we'll be there too. I don't know. I'm going to be so full. I don't know if I can even travel, but there we are. And Lynn says, wow, congratulations, Zelda, love you. Well, I love you back, and I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much. And you know what? Again, I would not be here if it weren't for you all. I just get so overwhelmed sometimes. I just think, what did I do right? I'm going to keep doing it. So TD, my dear friend, Tarot Destiny, I'm having a margarita hand squeeze. And you know what? I don't drink, so the margarita that I like is a margarita pizza. So I'll say that, but it sounds delicious. Lily Rose, Auntie BB says, I forgot to write down when that hearing is, but Twitter will know when it draws near to us, our date. What hearing are you talking about, my darlings? What hearing are we talking about? Oh, and to our friends in Canada, it is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to the friends in Canada. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all of you who are here. Thank you for that. So happy about that. Haya says, oh, love margarita pizza. Me too. Elizabeth says, happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian neighbors. And Lynn says, Zelda, same here. I use the big fat noodles too, using an Alfredo. Yeah. Sounds like a plan. So now, without much further ado, and oh, besides this, I put a poll up at the top of the chat here. I want you to do me a favor, and I want you to please go to the poll and vote. So that way I can close the poll down, and we're going to be talking about the Menendez brothers soon anyway, but yeah, there we go. All right. Okay, hold on. Lily Rose, the Massachusetts Supremes, ooh, baby love, my baby love. That's the Supremes that I want to hear coming out of Massachusetts. I don't know about you, but I just want to look at all of them and go, stop in the name of love before you break my heart, think it over. That's right. Supreme Court, Supremes, will hear the decision on Bev not properly reading out the jury's decision. My darling, that is in November, and I believe it's right around the 17th. It's in November. There's going to be oral arguments then. So there we are. Okay, so it's time, my darlings. It is time for the story of the Amityville Horror House. And for those of you who get a little squeamish and who get scared, and there's one thing I have to just say, my dear friend TD says, They don't make music like that anymore. No, my darling, they do not. No, they don't. The last time we had it live, I was on here talking about those singers that are on TikTok. Those young, beautiful people that have these deep voices that are these big overtones, and it's just so these 1940s, I'll never stop loving you, no matter else I will do. That like dang stuff, right? That's the only thing that I liked on TikTok, and I'm not on there. I have a cat profile on there, I think, and that's about it. Okay. Trigger warning, my darlings. Trigger, trigger, trigger. If the paranormal makes you squeamy, if demon stories make you squeamish, if any of those things bother you, you are more than welcome to say goodbye, and I'll give you a minute or two. And because I don't want you to be upset or scared or any of these, I'm going to be talking about the Amityville Horror House, and I'm going to go through the story. So one of the things that I want you to know is that I'm going to be telling the story, and I'm not going to be checking the chat a lot because it's a story, and I don't want to chop it up. So, okay, my dear. All right, there we go. Here we are, last call. Now, back in, hi, Nancy. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Doing very well. Thank you so much, my darling. And let me see. What type of time can a person do if caught lying in the stand? It depends. That's perjury mainly, or it could be anything. Could be anything. So it just really depends. But it's going to be, a little bit more than a slap on the wrist. Okay, my darling, here we go. Auntie BB, I'm going to tell you the story is bad. So if you need to cut out at any time, you'll know when it's getting bad. All right, here we are. I was dating a person who we will call Shrek because that's kind of who he reminded me of. So I was dating Shrek. We lived in Tennessee. He was from New York, and I was wanting to see New York. I'd been there in a long time, and so it was one of these things that his mother lived in Long Island, and pardon me, so we were going to go up, and I was going to meet the family. So we travel and we make it in one day. I was so tired. I thought I was going to just whatever. Coming from Knoxville, Tennessee, all the way up to Long Island, New York. That is a trek. So we drove all the way up there. We got in late that night. The next day, his mother says, "Oh, Zelda, I have a surprise for you," because I guess Shrek told them, I don't like to call him Shrek, but yeah, I'm going to. Shrek told him that this is what I do, paranormal investigations and card readings and all this other. So we get there the next day, the whole family descends on the house of his mother's, and the whole family is there. And his mother's like, "Oh my gosh, Zelda, I've got the biggest surprise for you." So I'm like, "Okay, what is it?" And she's like, "The Amityville house is for sale." And I'm like, "Oh, you know what that means? We can go view it." She used to be in real estate. She knew a few people. At that time, it was on the market for $899,000, way overpriced, but that's what it was on the market for. So we called the realtor, and the realtor knows that there were a lot of people just, looking. So he says, well, you're going to have a proof of funds. And I said, that's okay. We'll give you a proof of funds. And he's like, really? I said, oh, yeah. So we pulled everything together. My lawyer helped us out, and I gave him a proof of funds so we could go visit that house. Now, I sat in the living room the night before at his mother's house and said, look, this is what you do. You don't make fun of anything. You don't do this, and you don't do that, and you don't do this, and you don't do that. So I gave him the rundown. Be polite. Don't call anything out. Don't laugh at anything, blah, blah, blah. Now, there are still blood stains in the house. And they're upstairs in the bedrooms, and the wallpaper. The wallpaper in some of the rooms at that time was not changed. The people that had bought it after the Defoe family also bought the beds. And they were having all these troubles. Now, that was all long gone when I got there. So we all congregated. We said goodbye. The next morning, many people chickened out. And it was just the sister, Shrek, the mother, and myself. The real estate agent, we pull up, and there's a shared driveway. And at the end of the driveway is this boat house, kind of boat docky thing. And I get out, and I wanted to go down there first. And yeah, they bought the beds. They bought the bed. They bought all the furniture that was in that house. They bought the beds. They bought everything except for the mattresses. They got rid of the mattresses. But it's like, why in the absolute flip would you do that? But they got it for a song, and that's what they wanted to do. So all of that was gone, and there was just maybe a couple of pieces of furniture because it had changed hands after those people had gone in. And so we were like, whatever. Now, this was in September 16th of 2016 that I was there. So we go into the house. The realtor was scared out of his wits to even be in there. Now, one of my things that I do when I go into a house that I know that there's been really bad stuff like this, because I had planned, because there was a room in the basement that was called the Red Room that supposedly some bad worshiping, with the D guy, the devil guy, was supposed to be in that room. I wanted to go see it. I was planning on going upstairs. I had even a little flashlight with me because the electric was not on in the house. Now, this was September, and it was cold in September that day. It was cooler. So, you can always expect when you go into an empty house that it's going to be cooler. No. So we walk in. My little ritual thing is, not ritual, but my thing is, before I walk in, I always put my right hand on a wooden door, the wooden door jamb, and I ground myself before I go in. It was hot. The wooden door jamb was hot. And I thought, oh no. So I turn around, I tell his mother, and I loved his mother, and I tell Shrek, don't touch anything. If you can help it, don't touch anything. Because I did the little blessy thing before I went in there. We're standing in the foyer. I call it a foyer, but it's a foyer. And this real estate man, his little eyes, bless his heart, were just like scared out of his mind to even be in there. And he said, you don't mind if I go outside and make a phone call, do you? And I said, no, we're fine. You go right ahead. So he closes the door behind him. Okay. Well, Shrek's sister got scared and she stayed in the car. And she said, I'm not going to go in. This house gives me the willies. And it does. When you pull up, it's got this shared driveway with the neighbors. And believe me, the neighbors are constantly ticked off about the traffic that goes back there, through there, and all this other. So we're in there. And we're kind of hearing this little thumping around. Well, Shrek, when you go in, the floor plan was you turn to the left, and in the left was this really pretty room, and then there was kind of like this fireplace division between that, and it was like these glass French doors, and you open that and you could go. He starts going in there, and he starts being a real jerk, and he starts saying, come out, all you evil devils. Come out, here's the big bad Zelda, come and get her. And his mom was like, what are you doing? And I looked at him and I said, are you completely daft? And have you lost your mind? Don't talk like that. You don't know what you're calling. You don't even know what's here. We're here to look at the house. So he starts jumping around in this like a lunatic, like he's I don't know. And he starts going on and carrying on and running through the house, and he runs up the steps. Now, the steps were before us. You go up the steps, and they make a little L shape to the left, and then they go up one more flight to the third floor, or the second floor. And he's going up, he's running up and down. You can hear all this. So he runs downstairs, and then he runs in the basement. And his mom is looking at me like, what do we do? And I said, I think I'm just going to stay here, because I didn't want to get her into a point where it was going to be like, oh my God, because I wanted to help her. I didn't care about it. At this time, we were this far from breaking up anyway, and I didn't really care. So he is jumping around and doing all these crazy things, and I hear this thumping going on upstairs. And his mom looks at me and she said, oh, that must be the realtor. And I said, honey, the realtor went out. Do you remember? And she was pale white at this point, because we started hearing things. And he comes downstairs and he is thumping around in this room. And he knocks over this one chair and he's, come here, blah, blah. And he was doing this to show off, because that's just kind of the nimble brain that he was. And so this was so bad that his mother is walking up toward him, to him now. And this other room, she's patting him on the back. Oh, she says his name. Oh, it's okay. You just need to calm down now. We're here. Let's just see the house. We went to all this trouble to put this proof of funds together and give them. We should just see the house. And they're in there talking, and I'm hearing this thumping upstairs. And all of a sudden, my darlings, I hear these footsteps coming down the steps. And I want you to know that I kind of was a statue. I grew cold. What I'm also going to tell you, I forgot to tell you, was that the house was so hot that when we went in there, I said, gee, that the furnace, they've got the furnace on really, really high, don't they? And he said, no, there's no heat on. And I said, what's causing all this heat? And he said, I don't know. And he was so scared, it's just like he bolted out. So I hear these footsteps on the steps, and I'm thinking, maybe somebody was hiding in the house, because, this is me, the paranormal investigator, the crime person. Let's debunk this. Let's not just get crazy. Let's debunk it. And in the meantime, he starts his trash again in the other room, and Mommy's over there patting him. Now, come on, let's just settle down. You know, I wanted to just literally go over and kick him, but certainly that's not the thing to do. I hear these footsteps coming down the steps. Okay, trigger warning. Here you go. Trigger warning. If you just want to take a time out and leave, you can do that for about 5 minutes, and this part of the story will be over. Or just mute it, and then in about 2 or 3 minutes, come back. So here we go. So I look on the railing. Now, where is a railing? Let me see. I'm going to get a railing here. Here's a railing. Here's a railing. Here's a railing. All right. Over the railing, and I'm standing at the bottom of the stairs. Now, remember, the railing goes up. It goes upstairs, and then to the left, it makes a turn, and then it goes up once again. What I saw on that railing, I'll use my arm, I think. No, I better use this. Were these fingers that were about this long, spindly, like a little straw, come and put the hand on the railing, and the hand was like these little spindly fingers, and it just went like this. As that happened, I caught the side of this thing's face leaning over the railing and looking at me with this horrible grin. And it literally looked like one of those gargoyle-y that's head was pointed, and it was. I couldn't say anything, because the first thing that always goes through my mind is someone, poor Auntie B, bless her, is someone here playing a joke? See, that's my mind, how that goes. Was that someone who is here playing a joke? Is that someone who has decided that they knew that somebody was coming along? Are they a relative? Are they in the house? Do they not want to sell the house? And are they doing this to keep it from selling? Because, you know, people, they'll do anything. But my loves, this was not a person. This was not a person. And this thing that put its hand over the folded those little spindly little fingers over the railing, was standing there, and I think debating. Now, the first thing that I did was put my right hand is my power hand. So first thing I do is put my right hand out, like, don't you even flipping well decide that you're going to come down here, demon, because you are not going to have a deal with me. You are not. And when it saw me do that, it just kind of stood there. In the meantime, I've got Mr. Thumper Shrek on my left side going to town, jumping up and down like he's an idiot, and carrying on, and blah, blah, blah. So his mom looks at me. She comes over to me, and she was pale, like white pale. She did not see that. But she looks at me and she says, something is wrong. We need to leave. And I said, I agree. And she's like, come on, to him. Come on, honey, come on. And I'm sitting there thinking, leave his butt here. For crying out loud. I know he did that. He called things in, and there's Shaggy walking through. Come on, buddy. Come on, are you going to protect me? All right, I guess not. So I looked at her and I said, leave his A here. And she looked at me and I said, this is his fault. He's stirring things up, and he knows that he knows And she looked at me and she goes, yes. So we go over Shrek. Let's see. Standing Stones. Shrek is now 60 years. He's 4 years younger than I am. So he's no baby. Come on now. And now all of you know why it's very hard for me to be in a relationship. All right. So he runs upstairs again. He's going all this, and evidently that thing had left, or else he passed it and didn't see it, because he's upstairs running and screaming, here she is, here's Zelda, here's the big bad Zelda, come and get her, come and get her. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh, brother. I digress. So his mom and I turn to the door, and I touched the door, and the door was so hot that I flinched back. His mom grabs the doorknob, which was like metalish or whatever, and she's like, oh my God, why is that so hot? And I'm like, I don't know. And I said, do you see Diane outside? So what I was doing was trying to get the door open, and it wouldn't get open. And I'm sorry, I said her name, but I guess there's no whatever. So no, I'll tell you why I call him Shrek, because when I was with him, he got very big around because he was a big drinker, which I did not like. And he had these little legs, and he had big upper body strength, and he was clean shaven, and I just called him Shrek. He just wasn't green. So I said to her, I said, is she's still out in the car? And she goes, I think so. So she goes over to the window, and she's doing this because we wanted to get her attention to come and open the door. So we're standing there, and we're hearing this jerk upstairs. She's freaking out. The door's hot. And she's like, I'm going to go and see if we can go out the back door. And I said, no, don't you go anywhere. We're going to stay here. Somebody's going to be right here. We'll be there. Just then, the realtor comes and just opens the door. It wasn't hot on the outside. It was hot on the inside. He just opens the door. And he could tell that we were frazzled because Shrek's mom, I mean, she was clearly upset. So he said, did you see the house? And I said, we've seen enough. And he said, okay. So his mom is hollering for Shreky boy to come downstairs. I just bowled out of the house because I'm thinking, flipping A, just leave him. We'll make him a fixture of the house. Just leave him. So he was driving. We said our goodbyes, and that realtor couldn't get out of there fast enough. He just wanted to peel dirt out of there, and away he went. Well, we wanted to go to Montauk because it was still early in the day. And I said, well, yeah, let's go to Montauk. Shrek was driving. It's safe to return. Please, tell Auntie B it's safe to return, please. And I'll wait on her. Let me see. If she's sitting here, yes. We'll give her the thumbs up. Yes, it's safe. She can return. Okay. So we're going to Montauk, and Shrek is driving his mom's car. All of a sudden, his face has changed. Doesn't look the same. All of a sudden, he's decided he wants to go left to center when these big trucks are coming, and we were all screaming in the car. I was in the back seat. His mom was in the front, and she kept saying, "Are you tired? What's wrong with you? Don't do that." And his sister was like, "Are you crazy? Whatever." And I was just in the back seat going, "Angels on high, please say goodbye to my son. Please tell them all that I love them. Please." It's one of those prayers that you think, well, you're going to go. We finally make it to Montauk. He's driving around, and his mom says it's time to go get gas. He wouldn't. We ran out. We ran out of gas on the highway to Montauk. We sat there, probably for about an hour, waiting for somebody to come. And he was antagonistic. It was horrible. So his sister says, I'm driving. So his mom climbs in the back seat. He sits up front with the sister. And they're like, does anybody have to stop? And I'm like, yes, I do. Please. We go into a convenience store and I buy some olive oil. And I'm blessing the olive oil, putting on, and, blessing the car, putting on the olive oil. We finally made it back. And I'm going to tell you that guy was not the same since. We stayed for another couple of days. He was very odd. And that was probably the worst experience that his mom and sister ever had. And that is very memorable for me. And we leave then and go home. And we went through the Gettysburg because I wanted to see the battlegrounds. And he was so antagonistic and disrespectful, jumping on graves, just being crazy. And I said, okay. So I get in the car. Now this was like at 4:00 in the afternoon. And we had a huge long drive back to Knoxville. We finally get back at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, this is exactly what I said. I said, I have to go to bed. I'm dead, meaning I'm dead tired. And he looks at me and says, I hope so. That was in September. So it was not long after that, because remember what happened in that house. It was the older boy of the Defoe family who pew-pewed the rest of the family while they were sleeping. He comes home with one of those pew-pews one day, and he's grinning at me, and he's wrapping it up, and he puts it in his nightstand, and I thought, oh, heck, I got to get the heck out of here, or I'm going to meet my everlasting. And I was starting to plan. My son was in another state, 2 states down. I think my son was either going to school or he was managing a business or something in Georgia. I was in Tennessee. And I got to the point where I said, I'm going to do everything to myself, told my son, I'm going to do everything that I can to get out of this joint. And if you're seeing flashing, Shaggy Noodle is making an appearance. So, yeah, he was a doofus, all right. So, one morning in December, I felt like something shot me in the head. I really thought I was. I couldn't speak. I couldn't get out of the bed. I couldn't do anything. I finally rolled off the bed and laid on the floor, and I was trying to call. Well, he gets up. He gets ready for work. And he is walking around the house, not saying anything to me, leaving me lay there. When he gets ready to leave, he comes over and stands and he says, you better call your son. I think you've had a stroke. Sorry, I can't stay to help you. I'm going to go to work. And walks out of the house. Now, you want to talk about evil? That's evil, because he didn't want me there. We were at the end of our relationship, but he wasn't man enough to say, look, this isn't working. I just don't even want to be here anymore. So I laid there counting in my mind, counting to make sure that everything was firing okay. Finally, my phone starts ringing, ringing, ringing. I don't even know who it was. I know one of them was my son. Nobody could get a hold of me. And finally, I was able to get the phone and reach it. And I was able to hit the button. And I heard my son say, "Mom, are you okay? I've been trying to call you." And I couldn't speak. I could make noise. And he said, "Mom, tap the phone if you need help." So I tapped the phone. My son said, "Mom, stay on the phone with me." And I heard him, he was at work. I heard him say, hold on 1 minute. Okay. I heard him go through and say to whomever it was, his boss's manager, something, "My mom's in trouble and I'm leaving." And I heard this guy say, "Well, don't come back." And he said, "I don't give a flip. It's my mom." My son hit the road. And you know how it is when you're family and my son hit the road, and it was a 5-hour drive for my son, who made it there in about 3.5 hours. And I was going in and out. I could hear him say, "Mom, don't worry, Mom, don't worry." Well, he comes over to the house, and of course, he couldn't get in because Shrek made sure that he not only locked the door, but he locked the bolts of the door. So my son went to the neighbors, who the neighbors just loved me. So my son went to the neighbors and explained the situation and said, "My mom is in there." And I heard the police there, and my son came there. They broke down the door, and my son, I was finally able to get through a few things. My son came in and he said, "We're going to call the ambulance." And I shook my head no. And it wasn't because I didn't want the ambulance, because I knew I needed to go right then. So my son, took me to the hospital. And I was in intensive care for 1 week because I had a stroke and was laying on the floor and couldn't function. Thank God. I talked like Elmer Fudd for a long time. And sometimes you can see on names, I get a little, tongue-tied and so forth. And I have a condition what is called neglect, which I can be walking through a room, and if there's a doorway there, I know the doorway is there, but I'll kind of hit the doorway. It's not as bad as what it used to be. So what he did while I was in there, and all intensive cares and tubes running through me and all this other stuff, thank you, Auntie B. I think I said them for you. So I went, I finally was able to be released and come home. And I wasn't able to drive. I couldn't hardly move. And my son stayed with me because he knew Shrek was a handful. Now, I'm going to tell you something about Shrek. Shrek was one of these that he was 10 foot tall and bulletproof when he was drunk. So here comes a little bit of DV stories, but I'm okay. I figured I might as well just tell you. You're here, we're going to tell you. So my son decided to stay, and he moved in with us, and Shrek did not like it, but he was there to protect me. Now, my son, I'm going to tell you something about my son. When he played football, they called him Tank, if that tells you anything. My son is almost 6 foot, and he's the love of my life. So Drink. So, and his daddy was a Marine. So, hoorah. So, time went on. He didn't like it. He didn't like it. He did everything to make sure that I was uncomfortable and I didn't want to be there and all this other stuff. And my son just didn't even care because it was about mama. And at this point, I couldn't move because I was under a doctor's care and all these other things. And, my son would take me to all that. And Shrek just didn't give a flip. So, and you know what? I was thinking today, if I had this channel, I probably would have streamed some of the things. I don't know, but that's kind of like, I don't know. Anyway, so I started rallying and I started being okay. So my son's girlfriend decided to come up and visit. So she was there and he did not like that at all. Now, he used to be in the Navy and he worked in a post office in Tennessee. I won't say which one, but he's retired now. And so things started happening. And I was worried that we were all going to get pew-pewed because I'm going to tell you, since we were at the Amityville house, he was not the same. And I know he was, something was hanging on him because he was in that mindset. So as time went on, he would come home and be very nervous. Finally, he said, I just wanted to let you know I'm going to be late tomorrow night. And I said, what's her name? And he goes, oh, no, it's nothing like that. And I said, oh, really? That's a surprise, because he was a very big philanderer. And he said, I am being accused at the post office for stealing money. And I said, really? How much did you get? I wasn't going to be on his side at all. And at that point, he knew it. And of course, I had been in the crime genre for so long, so I knew all the signs. And I said, really, how much did you take? Oh, I didn't take anything. Really? Okay. And that's the same as saying, how many beers did you have? Oh, I only had 2. What, 2 6-packs or 2 kegs? So time went on, and it was then a couple months, 3 or 4 months later. He's like, yes, how long? That's right. So he decided that it was some holiday weekend or something. I don't know what it was. And he was off work, and he always wanted money from me. And I would never give it to him because I was saving to make my escape. And I always pretended like I didn't have any. And he was mad because he wanted money and I wasn't going to give any. So he went down to the convenience store, and he had been drinking. And he was one of these that when he wanted to be soused, he just drank quickly. Well, he got so soused that he was very belligerent and very dangerous. And I was sitting on the sofa. At that time, I was writing some things out and working and not saying anything. And he was in his chair, and he starts in on me, and he was yelling. He gets up, he bursts into my son's room. My son was, I don't know what they were doing, whatever. They were playing games or something in there. And he's like, what are you doing? Get out. And Shrek is all upset and all mad. And he comes out and he says, I'm going to start taking care of the cats. Now, this was just to get a rise out of me. And I knew it. I said, really? Okay. Really? Okay. Now, when he said taking care of, use your imagination and don't put it in the chat. So he opens up the door and he gets my mama cat and he looks like he's going to throw it out. And I said, I'm going to warn you. You do anything to my cat. You can do whatever you want to do to me, but you do something to my cat. And after you recover, then we'll talk about it. And his eyes were like this. So finally, some things calmed down a bit. My son comes out and he says, you know what, Mom, I'm kind of wanting a little cookout. Let's go get some hot dogs or something. I said, you know what, I'll go get it. That's fine. So my son, we kind of had this little plan. We just wanted things to calm down. We weren't really ready to leave. We were about a month away from leaving. And so we went, I said, I'll go ahead and go. And I'll pick up some hot dog buns and, whatever. I'll pick some things up and we'll just have a nice little cookout and we'll watch some TV, do whatever. So I'm looking at the time. So my son, being the wonderful man that he is, comes out and sits on the sofa. His girlfriend is sitting there and Shrek is sitting I go out into the car or into the SUV that he had. And he took the keys. So I couldn't take it. So I couldn't go. I thought, oh, this isn't going to be pretty. So I went into the house. I've got Shaggy here. So I went into the house and I said, do you have the key? And he looks at me and goes, Smirky, you know. What key? I said, the key to the vehicle so I can go and pick up some things for our little barbecue for this afternoon. He wouldn't speak to me. He just kept changing the channels and then he starts turning up the volume, being real smarky. So because he wanted me to start something with him. Now my son will attest to what happened. My son will put his hand on the stack of Bibles and he will tell you the next event. And that is, I was angry at that point and gathered all my energy and I turned around and I looked at the TV and I said, stop. And just then the TV stopped. It froze. And I looked at him and I said, hand me the key right now. And he looked at me like this. He looked over at my son sitting on the sofa. He reached in his pocket and he handed me the key. And I said, are we going to have any more issues with you? And he went, I said, fine. I turned around and looked at the TV and said, you may start. And that TV went right back on. And I turned around, my son and his girlfriend were sitting on the sofa. And I winked at them. And they knew at that point that I was okay. And he was so uncomfortable. He knew. And when I got back, he was trying to be nice and all this other. And he was in the living room. And the kids left. They went outside to start the grill or something. I don't know what it was. And he looked at me and goes, what was that you did? And I said, that was me showing you that you do not have a right to do what you're doing. And it's called energy. So behave. That's all I'm asking, is behave. So he's like, okay. Time went on. Next thing you know, the next weekend, drunk. He comes up to my son and he pushes my son very hard on the collarbone. Finally, he said, This is it. I can't stand it. Blah, blah, blah. And he went to go grab my son's girlfriend, and my son stepped between them. Now, you can imagine some things, but I will tell you at that point, I started taking video. I started taking recordings because I know how important that is. And the next thing you know, the popo arrives. I actually ran because we were all afraid of what was in his dresser drawer. I ran to the neighbor and I said, he's crazy. You have to call the police. The police came. I was running down the road to the police. This young guy probably thought, this woman is crazy. I grab onto him. I grab onto this police officer and I said, you've got to go get him. You've got to go get him. So they're talking to me in the yard and they're telling Shrek to shut up, shut up. He's in the yard. And the next thing you know, the silver bracelets came out and he went to jail. And then he got out, got bonded out, and he was made to leave his own house because we were the victims, my son's girlfriend, we were the victims. And we ended up staying there for about another month until the time we had to leave. And that was it. That was the last time I'd ever seen him and the last time I ever wanted to see him. So my company, because I do some other things other than the psychic line, my company moved me where we are right now. And they were very supportive. And I actually took pictures of him, and you never know, one of these days y'all might see one, being led by 2 police officers with handcuffs behind his back. Oddly enough, his son was a sheriff's deputy, and he always tried to hold that over my head. Now, the one thing I want you to know is this. I know what the mental strain of these things are. But I also want you to know, I believe he was affected by the Amityville house. And I've heard other people say that. Now, at one time, I wanted to buy the Amityville house because what happened after we visited there was another woman and her husband went in there 4 days after. They made a deal with it. They did not pay $899,000 for it. And I don't know, but I believe they are having problems and issues there. But they are very stubborn, and they would not let me come back or negotiate a price or any of those things. So that's fine. I wish them well. But I will tell you that after being involved, so I am very funny about taking people with me on paranormal investigations for this reason alone. And that is because it is not only dangerous for that person, but it is dangerous for the rest of them if they have a problem and they have to start breaking down and I'm going to say this, he was an alcoholic. Horrible. And in these paranormal type situations, that kind of spirit stuff can just jump on you and remain, because like him, he actually liked the fact that it made him feel this rough and tough guy, this, macho dude. He was married a year later to some girl that never, whatever. He contacted me on Facebook one time and said, "Oh, I just wanted you to know that I didn't hate you." I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. I just took screenshots of it all. I sent it to my attorney and I said, nail this guy, and you tell him if he contacts me one more time, it is harassment day at the park. And that ended it. We're blocked. It's gone. Never heard from him again, except I did hear that he's going to be indicted for stealing money from the post office. Now, if that's true, I don't know. And I quite frankly don't care. He's been blocked. His new little wife has blocked the treacherous Zelda, and I'm so happy. So I wanted to share this story with you because Karma, he bought in to the Karma credit system, the buy now, pay forever. And that's right, Irish. That is a federal crime. And it was I think it was over closer to $20,000. So good luck, Shrek. Don't drop the soap. Yeah. So, the backing up, I wanted to share the scary. I just went into this other story. My apologies, because I know that's deep and it's kind of hurtful to many, but I want you to know that I've been through it. The verbal, and he would have gotten physical with me, but I'm going to tell you this about Shrek. He was, after the television thing, he was a little scared of me. But, I'm going to tell you something about your dear Zelda. I am 5'10", and I'm not skinny, but I'm not fat. I'm athletic. And I'm going to tell you, even now. So I'm not a pushover. And I'm not afraid to call people if I need help. So, just so you know, that is my Halloween scary story. Now we're going to lighten up a little bit because this just kind of got dark and deep really quick. And my apologies for that. But I wanted to tell you about Amityville because the Amityville stuff, I believe, prompted that, my hat's on wrong, prompted that behavior in this guy. And that's why I'm saying be careful. I have a feeling, Karen, bless you too, my darling. Strong women, absolutely. Absolutely. Auntie BB, better than Irish. It would have to be something other than YouTube. Yeah. We can't even say things that are discussed on the news. That's correct. And that's what I'm just going to say here. That's why I have a Patreon channel. So if you all want to go over to the Patreon, you can go over there. You can look at / Zelda Kelly. You'll find me. It's in the description of here, my darlings. If you want to go. And I'm going to tell you, I think there was some divine presence. I believe that it is quite frankly very evil for someone to wish for someone else's demise. Because guess what? It always comes back on you. My grandmother, bless her heart, was always one who said, don't point the finger, because when you do, you have 3 more pointing back at yourself. And most likely it's the accuser that is the doer. And many of these types of situations. So there we go. I don't know how to get on Patreon. I'm only an iPad mini. Okay, my darling, if you go into the description of this link here, or you go into the description of any of my videos, you're going to see a link that will take you. It is over. It's on a website. It's patreon.com / I guess it's / whatever, a slash. It's the one under the question mark, Zelda Kelly, and you'll find me. Linda, thank you for sharing your story. Sorry you went through that. Thank you very much. But I don't tell that for feeling bad. I tell that because I want to encourage each and every one of you, but I also want to encourage you No, you're not, Lily. No, 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 no. No, you're not, stupid. We don't do that here. No, no. My dear Irish, well, you can, if not monetize. Zelda, we are talking about a channel of DV stories and help. Yeah. And I'm monetized now. And so that's why it's Patreon, because I can talk about a lot more of things and share. And can I tell you this, my darlings? Paranormal possessions go many times hand in hand with DV. Many times. People who have messed around with Ouija boards, or people that have messed around with things that they shouldn't be messing around with, thinking it's going to help them in life, and unfortunately it doesn't. That's why you have to be careful. And that's why if you ever go on any type of paranormal investigation, yes, my dear Irish, yes, that's right. Any type of that. The alcoholism is what got him, because it's the drive, and any other type of addiction type thing. And that's very unfortunate, but they prey. This type of entity type stuff preys on that. And I don't mean prey as in prey. I mean prey as in Prey, preys on that person. I not only, Karen, yes, praise for protection before you enter. I not only do that, I use anointed water, anointed oil. I make sure that I ground myself before I go, and there's all kinds of everything. So yes, indeed. Linda has, in my youth, I was in a toxic relationship, but I got out, then found a good man. We were married 44 years. He passed away last October. Oh, bless you, my darling. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure he was a good man. And Linda, I'm just thrilled that you had that experience. So that's wonderful to hear. Thank you. But I'm going to tell you this, my darlings, before we go, because in 5 minutes, you're going to be redirected over to our buddy, Turtle Boy. And please remember to tell him, Zelda sent us, because I can't wait to hear what he has to say. He's going to be telling us about some evidence and why they're hiding evidence and all these other things. But going hand in hand with all of this, I don't want to take away from the Amityville part of this, but I also want to share with you this. Other than I love you guys to pieces, let me see. Somebody sent me a chat. Thank you very much. Is that be careful. Be careful. It used to be in the old days when I was, once upon a time there was a tavern where we used to have a drink or two. Remember that? Wine and drink. But we would go out and we would go to these places and we would go in, and it would be a free-for-all and a mess. And I got plenty of stories. They don't end in the DV stuff. But I want to tell you this because I want you to be careful. Even going out in the daylight, going near anyone who looks like there's a problem, the best thing for you to do is just to stay away. Don't try to overcome. Don't try, just to stay away. I got more, and next week we're going to be talking about more updates. There's just so much, but I couldn't help. I wanted to tell you about Amityville, and we're just going to talk and chat until it's time to go to my darling Turtle Boy. And I got it set up. I don't know if we have to do that, if we have to zippity-doo-dah out there. But I can tell you this, my darlings, I'm very happy being by myself. People are like, oh, no, Zelda, you should be with somebody else. No, I'm very happy. I can do what I want to do. And I had those types of relationships, and I'm very happy because I can sit and talk to you until 9 o'clock at night and do what I want to do. And that's what it's all about. I love being by myself. I can't help it. And I think that it's healthy to love yourself enough to know that you can not have to depend on someone else to make you happy, but that you can be happy because you're just with someone else. And that's what it is. So I want to thank you, each and every one. I'm going to try to make sure. Thank you, my darlings, each and every one of you. I love that you're here. Do you know that? And don't forget, subscribe. And please, before we jump out of here and go to Turtle Boy, hit that thumbs up button for me. Will you please do that? And I want to make sure that you are A-OK. I don't know if I have to stop the stream first. I don't think I do, but I'm going to try it. This is my first time trying it. If it doesn't direct you, we tried. We tried. So goodbye, everybody. I love each and every one of you. We got 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. Don't forget, we've got this great coming up. Go over to Patreon because I'm going to be talking about the events leading up now to November 5th on there. I got more content coming out to you about this great, crazy character up in Canton by the name of Jennifer McCabe. And we got a lot of stuff going on. So Linda says, that's how I feel since losing my dear husband. I never want another relationship like being alone with my dogs. My kitties and we're good. We're good. So my friends, we're about to go over to Turtle Boy. Don't forget to tell him hi for me. I'll try to be over there too, but I'm making Alfredo. And Miss Teresa, you listen, you've got what it takes. You just have to dig deep down inside and not blame yourself, darling, because we all make mistakes in choosing other people. You've got this. I know you do. You're here. And I want to say hello and goodbye to everyone. We got 30 seconds. I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. If not, well, then we tried. And I'll have to learn how to port you all over there. But I think, I don't know if I have to close it down or not first. I don't think so. I think, well, maybe. So I don't think I have to end the stream, but I don't know. We're going to find out in a minute. I think I'd better end. Here we go, my darlings. Tell Turtle Boy I said hi, and I'll talk to you soon. Love you all. Bye.